Hey friends, welcome to my podcast channel. I'm Phoenix, a quiet girl with a strong spirit and a heart that loves to wander. Life has taught me many things, especially how to find light in the darkest corners. Through every challenge, I collect stories, and this is where I share them with you. So take a deep breath, and let's begin today's journey together. Tonight, we're going to talk about something very soft, but also very powerful. Something invisible, but life-changing. Gratitude. You might hear that word a lot, in books, on social media, or inside wellness journals. But gratitude is not just something you write down. It's something you feel. Deeply. Quietly. Gratitude is what we hold when we've lost everything. It's what we whisper when we have no words left. It's what reminds us that even now, something is still good. I've had many seasons in my life when I didn't feel grateful. And that's okay. Gratitude doesn't ask you to lie. It only invites you to notice. So today we'll explore gratitude not as a habit, but as a healing. Not as a performance, but as a posture. And I'll share with you a story about a woman who rose from dirt floors and deep silence to become one of the most powerful voices in the world. Yes, we'll talk about Oprah Winfrey, but not the polished version. Not the billionaire in a garden. We'll talk about the little girl in Mississippi, sitting on the porch, with nothing but her imagination and a sense that she was still blessed. We'll also learn one small English phrase together, a phrase that carries the heart of gratitude. And by the end of this episode, I hope your shoulders feel softer and your heart feels a little more open. So get cozy. Let your breath slow down. You made it here, and that already means something. Let's begin. This morning I made tea, just like I do every morning. But today I noticed something. The light coming through the window, it was soft like honey. And it touched the edge of my cup just right. The steam curled up into the air like it had something to say. And I sat there, just watching it dance. That moment, it was maybe 5 seconds long. But it stayed with me. Because it reminded me of how many things I usually rush past. I rush to check my phone, to answer someone, to prove something. And in doing so, I miss the tiny magic, the gentle moments that are trying to speak to me. That's the thing about gratitude. It's not always loud. It's often found in whispers. And that whisper this morning said, "You're here. And this is enough." We live in a world that constantly tells us we need more. More followers. More success. More productivity. But what if the real power is in seeing what's already here? Let me ask you this. When was the last time you looked at something ordinary? A spoon, a cloud, a tired face in the mirror, and felt something like awe? That's gratitude too. It's not just thank you for the good things. It's thank you for this breath. Thank you for this chance. Thank you for this try. There's a moment I remember from when I was little. It was raining outside. My mom had just boiled sweet potatoes. And we sat on the floor, peeling them with our hands, laughing. There was no money, no big future plans. Just the smell of the rain and the warmth of food in our hands. And that, somehow, felt like everything. Now, as an adult, I look back at that memory. And I realize that was one of the richest moments of my life. And I didn't even know it. Sometimes gratitude doesn't feel like joy. It feels like presence. Like awareness. Like a gentle anchor in the middle of a storm. You can be going through hell. And still, somewhere in your day, notice a moment of stillness. And that noticing becomes your rope. You hold it. You breathe into it. And it holds you back. Gratitude is not naive. It doesn't ignore suffering. It's not some positive quote on a mug that tells you to look on the bright side. No. Gratitude says, I see the mess. I feel the pain. But right here, I'm also alive. And that matters. That's why I wanted to start this episode not with something grand, but with something so small. A cup of tea and sunlight through the window. Because your life is filled with these moments. And if you're too busy chasing the next thing, you'll miss the now thing. So today I want to invite you back. Back to your breath. Back to your body. Back to this moment. You don't need a perfect life to feel grateful. You just need a quiet pause. And maybe a little light on your tea. Gratitude sounds simple, doesn't it? Just be thankful. Say thank you. Write in your journal. Easy, right? But in real life, it's not always that easy. Especially when your heart is tired. Especially when life feels unfair. There are days when you wake up and the first thing you feel is heavy. No motivation. No hope. Just gray. On those days, someone might tell you to practice gratitude. But that feels fake. Forced. Because deep down you're thinking, what do I even have to be thankful for? Let's be honest. Gratitude can feel fake when your pain feels real. It's hard to say thank you when your dreams are stuck. Your bank account is low. You feel left behind. Someone hurt you and never apologized. I've been there too. There was a season when I was completely lost. I had just left a job that drained me, and I didn't know who I was anymore. I felt like I had no direction. Everyone around me seemed to be moving forward, and I was just floating, or sinking. Depends on the day. People would say, just be grateful. Focus on what you have. And I'd nod, smile politely. But inside I felt numb. Because how can I feel thankful when I feel nothing? And that's the point I want to make in this part. Gratitude is not a trick to escape your emotions. It's not a mask you wear when everything is falling apart. It's not a shortcut to happiness. Gratitude is not a denial of your struggle. It's a companion to your truth. It sits next to your pain and says, I see you. I'm here too. And I'll help you remember what's still real. Here's the paradox. The people who feel the deepest gratitude are often the ones who've known the deepest pain. Because they understand the value of the small things. Because they've had moments when even a smile, a call, a sunset felt like a lifeline. They don't take it for granted. They can't. Think about Oprah. She's one of the most successful, powerful women in the world. But her childhood? She was born in poverty, raised by her grandmother. She wore potato sacks as dresses. She was abused, abandoned, and told she was not enough, again and again. But somehow, even in that chaos, she found moments to be thankful. She talks about how books saved her, how her imagination gave her escape, how one teacher believed in her, and that changed her whole path. She didn't wait until her life was perfect to feel grateful. She felt it when her life was broken. So if you're struggling to feel thankful today, I want you to know, that's okay. Gratitude is not a performance. It's not about faking happiness. It's about finding one soft thing and letting that be enough for now. So maybe today you don't feel grateful for your job or your family or your situation. But maybe you can be grateful for a breeze on your face, the sound of your dog snoring, a clean spoon, a moment where you were kind to yourself. Tiny things, sacred things. Gratitude doesn't always come in loud victories. Sometimes it arrives in whispers, and that's more than enough. You are not weak for struggling. You are not wrong for feeling lost. But if you're here listening, breathing, then there's still something alive in you. And that is something to be thankful for. Here's the shift that changed everything for me. Gratitude isn't just a response. It's a practice. And more importantly, it's a perspective. Most of us think we'll feel grateful after life gets better. After we get the job. After the relationship heals. After the bank account fills up. After our body looks a certain way. We wait for the change. Then we say thank you. But what if that's backwards? What if gratitude isn't what comes after the miracle, but what invites the miracle in? I used to think I needed evidence to feel thankful. Now I realize I need gratitude to see the evidence. It's like cleaning fog off a window. The world doesn't suddenly become more beautiful. You just finally see it. Let me tell you a story. There was a man named Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist who survived the Holocaust. He lost everything, his family, his home, his freedom. He was imprisoned in a concentration camp, facing cruelty every single day. And yet, he wrote that in the middle of all that horror, he would sometimes pause and feel deeply moved by a sunset, or a tiny piece of bread shared by another prisoner. He said, "Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances." That's not blind optimism. That's clarity. That's power. Gratitude isn't a mood. It's a muscle. And like any muscle, it grows when you use it, especially when it's hard. When you wake up and everything feels heavy, and you still find one thing to appreciate. That's power. When life doesn't go your way, and you still whisper, thank you for a moment of rest or a kind word. That's resilience. Gratitude isn't the same as being happy. It's being awake. So how do you shift perspective? You start with something tiny. Not, I'm grateful for my whole life. That feels too big, too vague, and honestly, too fake on the hard days. Instead, try, I'm grateful for clean water. I'm grateful my socks are warm. I'm grateful for the sound of my friend's voice. I'm grateful I didn't give up today. It's not the size of the gratitude that matters. It's the sincerity. Oprah once said, be thankful for what you have. You'll end up having more. If you concentrate on what you don't have, you will never, ever have enough. That's not magic. That's mindset. Your focus creates your feeling. And when you focus on what's working, you stop feeding the fear that says, nothing ever works for me. So today, I challenge you to shift the lens. Instead of asking, why is life so unfair? Try asking, what is life still giving me right now? Instead of waiting for the big break, celebrate the small one. Instead of waiting for the storm to pass, notice the moment you're breathing in peace, right now. Here's the truth. Life is complicated. Gratitude doesn't erase the pain. It just gives you something solid to stand on while you move through it. It doesn't mean you don't want more. It means you're learning to see this moment as worthy too. So, what's one small thing you can notice today? Look around right now. There's something. Maybe it's the color of the sky. Maybe it's your hands, still working for you. Maybe it's that, somehow in a world this busy, you found a quiet moment to listen. Gratitude doesn't promise to fix everything, but it will change you. And that, sometimes, is the only shift you need. I want to tell you something I've never shared before. There was a season in my life where I lost everything I thought made me successful. I had a job that people admired, a relationship that looked beautiful from the outside, and a future that was carefully planned. But inside, I felt hollow. Every morning, I woke up with a tightness in my chest. Like I was pretending to live someone else's life. Like I was performing. And then one day, everything collapsed. The job disappeared. The relationship ended. The plans crumbled. I remember sitting on the floor of a small, empty apartment. No Wi-Fi. No furniture. Just me and my thoughts. And one word kept floating through my mind. Now what? In that silence, something strange happened. I didn't feel anger. I didn't even cry. I just noticed. I noticed the sound of the traffic outside. I noticed the rhythm of my breath. I noticed the sunlight sneaking through a dusty window. And I realized, for the first time in years, I wasn't trying to impress anyone. I wasn't chasing anything. I wasn't running. I was just being. And in that stillness, I felt something unexpected. Not sadness. Not panic. Gratitude. Gratitude for the quiet. Gratitude for the chance to begin again. Gratitude for the truth that was finally rising to the surface. We all have these moments, when everything falls apart. But what if they're not endings? What if they're revealings? What if the breakdown is the beginning of something honest? I started writing again. Not for work. Not for success. Just because I needed to hear my own thoughts. I wrote about my fears. My shame. My childhood. My small joys, like the way the afternoon light hit the floorboards, or how warm the cup felt in my hand. And through that daily ritual, something inside me softened. I started to realize that I had been measuring life by the wrong things. Approval. Applause. Achievement. But life was offering me something quieter. And deeper. Gratitude became my guide. Not the Pinterest version. Not the checklist. But the kind of gratitude that shows up in hard places. The kind that says, you're still here. You still have breath. That's enough to begin again. And slowly I rebuilt. Not with big moves. But with tiny choices. I made tea every morning. I opened my windows. I called people I missed. I walked barefoot. I read poetry. I cried when I needed to, and didn't apologize for it. And each of those choices was a way of saying thank you. Not for the past, not for the pain, but for the present. This moment. This chance. This try. That's what I mean when I say truth spark. It's not a dramatic event. It's a flicker. A shift. A whisper inside that says, maybe this could be the beginning. You don't need a complete life plan. You just need a willingness to notice what's still good. That noticing will open the next door. And that door will lead to the next tiny choice. And that choice will lead you back to yourself. You don't have to wait until life is perfect to start over. You don't need permission. Your quiet decision to try again, that is the sign. That is the spark. So if you're here, and you feel like something in your life is broken, I want you to know, you're not broken. You're breaking open. And that's where light gets in. Let's talk about one of the most powerful examples of this mindset shift, Oprah Winfrey. Today we know her as a billionaire, a global icon, the woman who interviews presidents, celebrities, and spiritual leaders. But her story didn't begin there. It began in rural Mississippi with a little girl who had nothing, and no one telling her she would ever be anything. Oprah was born to a teenage mother. She grew up wearing potato sacks because her family couldn't afford clothes. She was abused, emotionally, physically, sexually, by people who should have protected her. She was moved from house to house, never truly belonging anywhere. By age 14, she ran away. By society's standards, Oprah was destined to be a statistic, another forgotten girl. But somehow she believed something different. Somehow, she carried a tiny spark inside her that whispered, there is more. And here's the most powerful part. Even in her lowest moments, Oprah found things to be thankful for. She talks often about how her grandmother's faith shaped her. How she felt joy simply by reading books. How a single teacher told her she was smart, and that changed the direction of her life. Oprah once said, "The single greatest thing you can do to change your life today would be to start being grateful for what you have right now." She wasn't saying that as a millionaire. She learned that lesson long before she ever had a studio or a stage. She learned it sitting on the front porch of her grandmother's house, barefoot, lonely, reading the Bible aloud because it made her feel strong. She learned it through pain, and she chose to let gratitude shape her mindset. That's the key word, choose. Gratitude is not something that magically appears. It's something you choose, sometimes against all logic. You choose to see the light even when it's small. You choose to say thank you, even when it hurts. Not because life is perfect, but because your spirit is resilient. Oprah's story reminds us, your past does not define your future. Your pain does not cancel your purpose. Your current chapter is not your final one. But for that to be true, you have to reframe your mindset. Here's a simple way to do that. Every time you catch yourself thinking, I don't have enough. I'm not good enough. Why me? It's not fair. Nothing ever works out. Gently pause. Take a breath. And shift the thought, not by denying it, but by redirecting it. Try this. Even though this is hard, I'm grateful I'm still trying. I may not have everything, but I have something. This moment is teaching me something important. I'm growing, even if I can't see it yet. I've survived worse. I'm still here. These aren't just affirmations. They're anchors. And over time, they rewire the way you see your life. Oprah's success didn't come from luck. It came from resilience. It came from mindset. And it came from an unshakable practice of gratitude, long before the world clapped for her. You can build that, too. Not in one big moment, but in small, quiet choices every day. Start now. Start here. Start with one true thing you're grateful for, no matter how small. Then let that grow. Before we end today's journey, let's pause and learn something beautiful, something small but powerful from the English language. Because words are not just tools. They're also mirrors. They reflect the way we think, feel, and live. And today's idiom is one that holds the heart of this entire episode. Idiom of the day. Count your blessings. Meaning, to recognize the good things in your life, especially when you feel like everything is going wrong. This phrase is often used as a gentle reminder when someone is focused on what's missing or not working. Let's break it down. Count equals not just notice, but actively list, name, or track. Blessings equals anything that brings light, relief, love, or peace. It can be big or small. So when someone says, remember to count your blessings, they're not asking you to ignore your problems. They're asking you to shift your focus, even briefly, toward what's still good. How can you use it? Imagine this. You're having a really hard day. You missed your bus. You spilled coffee on your shirt. Your boss criticized your work. You feel like nothing is going right. But then your friend says, hey, I know it's been rough, but maybe tonight you can just breathe, rest, and count your blessings. It's not a magic solution, but it opens a door, a small mental door that says, wait, is there something in my day that did go okay? Even one thing. That's enough. Try it now. Take a breath. Close your eyes for just a moment. Ask yourself, what is one thing, just one, that I can count as a blessing today? It doesn't have to be big. In fact, the smaller the better. Maybe it's your warm socks. Maybe it's the message from a friend. Maybe it's the fact that you showed up and listened to this episode. You don't need a list of 100. Just one. That's a blessing. Now you can carry this phrase with you, not just as vocabulary, but as a mindset. You made it here. Not just to the end of this episode, but through another day, another chapter, another quiet moment of choosing to stay. And that is something sacred. Gratitude isn't loud. It doesn't need applause. It doesn't wear makeup or post perfect pictures. Gratitude is the quiet voice inside you that says, even now, I see something good, even in the mess, even in the pain, even when nothing looks the way you planned. And you listening right now, you are proof that gratitude is still alive in this world. Because it takes courage to stop, to reflect, to feel. You could have chosen to scroll, to distract yourself, to pretend you don't care. But you didn't. You chose to sit with your heart. And for that, I'm grateful for you. Before we go, I want to leave you with 3 simple invitations. Notice one quiet blessing today. Not something flashy, something small and true. Maybe it's your breath. Maybe it's your coffee. Maybe it's the color of the sky. Just pause. Notice. Let that be enough. Speak gratitude aloud to someone. Tell a friend, a parent, a stranger. Say, hey, I just want to thank you for being kind / showing up / listening. Gratitude grows when it's shared. Write it down. Tonight, before you sleep, write one sentence. Not a list. Just one true sentence. Today, I'm thankful for. And see how it feels. You don't need a perfect life to be grateful. You just need a present moment. This one. Right here. I'll end with a quote I keep close to my heart, especially when things feel uncertain. Courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes courage is the quiet voice at the end of the day that says, I will try again tomorrow. That voice is yours. So try again tomorrow. And if this episode meant something to you, I'd love to hear from you. What blessing did you notice today? What truth did this spark in you? Leave a comment, share a story, or simply whisper it to yourself. This community is not just about learning English. It's about learning how to be human, more gently, more honestly, and with more grace. My name is Phoenix, and every week, I show up here not because I have all the answers, but because I'm still learning too. And I believe the fact that we're all still trying, that's the most beautiful thing of all. Take care. Be gentle with yourself. And remember, even on your hardest days, there is always one more thing you can thank the world for. Thanks for joining me today. And remember, you are not alone in this world. If you enjoy this episode, leave a comment, like, and subscribe. I'll see you next time.